Welcome. Hey, what's going on, Native Land fam? This is Derek hitting you up from Indy, Ruby Red, Indiana, Blue Dot in Indy. My handle is Sag Direwolf81 on Blue Sky. And I don't listen to that many outlets between you guys, Abby, Don, Larry, Karen, and Joy. That's about it. But I've been getting a lot of chirps. So a lot of articles have been coming my way about how this election has been stolen, tampered with, or whatnot. And I've been thinking it all along. Y'all been thinking it. People are silently thinking it, but not saying much about it. So my only question is, can we talk about it just for a little bit without even coming down as some conspiracy theories that the right wing is going to run with? Because this is serious, and we still matter. So can we talk about it?
What's up, Native Pod Land? I am so glad to be home with y'all. Y'all just don't know what y'all do to my spirit. Y'all just don't know. Man, we needed y'all. First, let me say that. So I know y'all see what's going on between Elon and his boyfriend Donald Trump. And I think, and Angela, with your degree, I hope you can correct me. Elon's basically, when he's tweeted, "You wouldn't be in the White House if it wasn't for me," he's basically confirming that the election was fraudulent. And the other part, so when does the investigation begin? How does the investigation begin? Is there anything that we as paying taxpayers can do to call to get an investigation started? Because, yeah, Elon is spilling tea. I don't like him. I still don't like him. But he's spilling the tea that we need to get that man out the house. This administration is a joke. It's really, I just don't know what else to say. But again, I love y'all. I love y'all so much, and thank you for everything that you do for our community. Keep going, keep doing it, please.
I love her spirit. It comes through.
I just want to take a little pause just to say, you guys, I need y'all to understand something for me. In the Black National Anthem, the last line says, "True to our God, true to our native land."
Oh, get off of it.
The podcast is called Native Land Pod. It's not Native Pod
You've been trying to correct me on the name of the tour the whole time. My heart is with it. Still, their heart is with it. Their heart is with it. It's okay.
You know, my favorite tour name was when Mayor Raz, and shout out to Mayor Raz too for running a very good race in New Jersey. I hate the outcome. I just knew he was going to get a boost from everything that's happening, looking like he was the actual opposition leader. But Andrew, can I just say, he said on the tour, when we went to Newark, he was like, and I just want to shout out, he started out the thing, he said, "Hey everybody, welcome to the State of the People to the State of the People Power, State of the People to the All Power to the People tour." I was like, what is happening?
I like that. All Power to the People tour.
But yes, this Native Land Pod. So this is the Native Land Pod, MiniPod.
Or the Native Pod of the land.
Wow. Andrew, that doesn't behoove you to troll your own podcast.
No, I'm not offended.
It's a conspiracy.
What
I believe happened is Andrew paid this woman to submit this question.
I did not. I felt her energy. I felt the love that she has for the pod.
She was recording a video with the child in the car, like, can we go into the store,
Which
Mom?
I'm also loving. Mm-hmm. I got 3, and they're not always obedient. And it's all good. It's all good.
Okay. So what are we doing?
I missed some of the dimes, I guess, that were dropped by Elon, because I really despise him, and I despise the person he was fighting with. You know, I can't even conceptualize the enemy of my enemy as my anything but enemy. Mm-hmm. So they're all enemies to me. So I missed the dimes. What were the dimes?
So here's the thing. So Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been fighting.
Saw that.
Two egos just can't rest together. Like at some point that wounded ego leadership is going to clash. We saw that happening along the way. And I think that the issue that people are bringing up is Elon Musk's overhanded involvement in the outcome of the election. What we know is he spent $250 million in his, is it America PAC, Save America PAC, whatever that PAC is called. Somebody look it up for me and drop it in the chat. But he spent all this money in the election and basically paid for his role, arguably, right? In this Trump administration, to have an office on the White House complex. And now these two fools is fighting.
But did he say you wouldn't be in the White House without me? Because I think that's what I had heard the last questioner say was basically.
I think Nick is going to put the tweet up. So he says, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. And then he says that
that's pretty specific.
Such ingratitude. It is, but he doesn't say that he engaged in election fraud. He doesn't say the thing that some of us have been wondering, like, these satellites he's doing, can they interfere with the machines? Is there
He didn't go into detail. He simply said, without me.
Yeah.
And then there's some pretty specific statements here, which is the
Dems would have won the House, and that it would have been a 51-49 Republican-led
So
Senate.
how do you get that specific?
Right?
I think he's saying Republicans would have still won the Senate, but that the vote would have been 49 to 51. That's just a level of specificity that we don't often hear. Which states would have gone differently? Right? I mean, I'm trying to read into.
You sound like you're ready to sit on the Senate dais and the Judiciary Committee and do a hearing. I like it. Keep going.
I just want to know where he's deriving these numbers.
You should pretend like you're a senator and let me be Elon Musk.
No, I don't want to. I honestly, I told y'all, for the listening public, I said to Angela, I think she already knows, I hate a conspiracy theory. I hate one mostly because the world is screwed up enough as it is. Why do we have to go a layer beneath its screwy to screw it up further? I made that up.
We know you always make it up. But here's the thing, brother. I think for me, it never felt right? Like it never felt right. Yeah, it never felt right. And I told you this before, but it felt the same way to me. Maybe not as bad, but very similar to me as it did in your election. There's nothing anyone in Florida can do to convince me that Ron DeSantis won that election fair and square. They patently refused to count some ballots. There were ballots in post offices in Florida that they just would not count.
Again, a place I can't allow myself to go.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
No,
let's go back to nationals.
No, just to say that it is a difficult enough thing to have to deal with all of the blow back from that whole thing to feel assured in one way and validated in one way, and then it turns out not so, and then who's governing and how bad are the folks that you fought for and stand for are suffering under that governance, right? And so I think we all have to deal with, okay, once an election's been certified and this is the outcome, unless there's some pretty compelling and rich stuff to go with and a place to then have that all fought out and decided, there's no place to go but kind of where we are. So I have a hard time with conspiracy theories because I don't know where we can cure this thing at this point. If it didn't go right as it relates to the presidency, we know it didn't go right from our votes, right? Like this wasn't the person we wanted. I get it.
Yeah.
But once that person is seated in an office and the cure period is over, what other point is there to going down the road when it can't be reversed anymore? It can't be, there isn't an outlet by which this thing can be reversed at this point.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time going down the aisle.
Well, I guess sometimes it's good to know for your peace of mind. Like, you know how you have those moments in life where you're like, am I crazy? I'm not crazy. Am I crazy?
Look,
I'm not crazy.
When the Lev Parnas text started coming out and that kind of thing, like there were things that I thought that I knew, and then now they were validated.
Yeah.
Because there was a splinter,
Who is Lev
there was a
Parnas
break.
for these people that need to know?
Yeah, he was the Russian oligarch guy who came in throwing money around in the race for governor that, starts throwing money, around. he and Ron DeSantis find themselves in really close relationship. He then becomes the go-between between DeSantis and Rudy Giuliani. And then, DeSantis saying, well, I really think he ought to, you ought to tweet about this investigation and, get justice to do this, is that, and the third. And all that stuff is coming out there. I'm like, I knew they were in cahoots all along. There were denials all throughout, but I kind of had a thing that this thing was happening the way that I had thought it was.
Yeah.
So to later find out, once Lev Parnas got indicted and he was split up with Trump and split up with DeSantis, and he starts talking, I start feeling some ways validated, but the election was not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to become governor as a result of what was coming out. But it did feel good to know that I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
And so maybe some of this is that maybe we need to know that we're not crazy. But I do think, different than my race, Elon Musk, right, wasn't in there, and that kind of money wasn't flowing.
Mm-hmm.
His connections to all of this kinds of technology and stuff that we probably won't ever know about was no. But what he said with regard to the 5149 is something to me. I want to know which states he thought would have gone differently. And why is he convinced that those states would have gone differently if it had it not been for him? What did he do?
Yeah.
What certainty do you have?
You know what might be a good point to just think about with it. I understand your position on the conspiracy theories and like floating concepts and ideas without hardcore facts. Like, I actually hate that. But I think there's a difference between a conspiracy theory that's infused with some discernment and intuition. I do. And then I also think, AG, part of what they like the questions help us get to is, when you're a kid, you learn about justice as like, this is not fair.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
At the heart of what we're really talking about here is the fact that Elon Musk, if we're honest, had an outsized role in this election in ways that
But a legal one.
Maybe. But let's say that it's legal because the Supreme Court passed or signed off on Citizens United, right? Let's say that that's the case.
Yeah.
A layperson that can't donate $25 to a campaign, but they're watching Elon Musk with the stroke of a check be able to control an election, control how the money is spent, control how the ads get put up, control the policies.
Control an election or control an electorate?
And that too, because he's getting sued right now in Wisconsin for potentially bribing people to vote.
Which I think there's something to that, right? And he did that throughout in the presidential.
Yes. And this is my point. So what people are really tapping into is the fact that it's not fair. Citizens United made it such that it is not fair. And so what this invites us into, even if the conspiracy theory ends up falling flat and not being real, it invites us into challenging the pieces that aren't fair.
I agree with that.
Okay.
1,000%. And I'm opposed to Citizens United, and I'm opposed to, frankly, all of the conditions that allowed for corporations to play outsized roles in politics, because they existed before Citizens United as well. Citizens United just blew the cap off. But corporations were still sending money through methods that were undisclosed and that were impacting on elections prior to Citizens United. Now what Citizens United did is it made it much more naked, out in the open, and I think increased in some ways the level of individual giving, certainly the appetite for it that exists today versus when it existed prior to the Supreme Court's decision. But I don't know that this is not fair is what folks are getting at when you read that tweet about Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
Him being very specific about the states. I wish he would have named states. Tell me which U.S. senators that are there today would not have been there today were it not for whatever it is that you are taking responsibility for having done. Because to me, it just is a little too specific, and I do think it's worth greater query. I also think that there is not a cure at this stage of the process of inquiry that could reverse the election.
Well, and that's.
I think y'all ought to have a part 2 to this, because as my count is, we are in 10 minutes. I think there ought to be a part 2 that takes up the other 10 minutes with you and Tiffany going further, because I think she has a lot of questions and a lot of doubt about whether or not this election happened
We need to have Elon Musk on here.
I mean, if he wasn't trying to do a mea culpa right now, it might be worth reaching out to him. But he didn't reverse, then he reversed course. He's now saying, I want to be your friend again. And I'm sorry for what I said, Donald. Will you take me back?
What does this man have on these people where they do this? What is that? Or are they just so drunken and enamored with power by any means?
I think it is absolutely drunken relationship with power. I mean, the man started thinking about all the things that this president has demonstrated that he is willing to do, whether it's in the law or outside of the law, to reap consequence.
Yeah.
So could he go and single-handedly destroy every contract that Elon Musk has right now with the federal government? Arguably, yeah.
Yeah.
Elon ain't that stupid.
Well, I'm tell you what. Welcome home, y'all. I guess we're going to have to keep going. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I want to know what these satellites is doing. What is the satellites doing?
Hey, you remember, I can't even remember the show, but was it the beginning of, with Kerry Washington, the Fix It show? What's it called? Scandal. Thank you.
Why is Nick in the podcast as the voice of God?
Because he tried to add time to it and it's been over. But anyway, but remember when the conspiracy played out and it was like 23 votes per precinct in this one state? I don't know if 23 is the number, but basically it was like X number of votes and it was a small de minimis amount. The number of votes that were stolen per precinct were very small and unnoticeable.
Yeah.
That was the heft of the conspiracy, that the numbers were so small that nobody would notice. But when you brought those numbers together in total, they resulted in the movement of an electoral vote.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that if there was a conspiracy to be had, that it did not take place with huge numbers, that they were discrete numbers being shifted or shaved off per precinct in particular states that resulted in electoral votes being moved. I think if there was a theft to this election, that is likely how it occurred. I don't think big numbers were at play. I think very small numbers on very marginal scales in very specific places may have taken place to result in a particular outcome. Welcome home, y'all.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.